Hey everyone, it's Cheryl from Teaching 2 and 3-year-olds. We are going to be starting our second week of our snow and ice theme. And for those of you who've been following my videos for a while, you know that last year we started to spread our themes out a little bit. So we used to do weekly themes and it just got to be way too much. It was like our children barely were introduced to what we were doing, the activities, and then we took everything down and put all new stuff up. The teachers were getting burned out, and quite honestly, the children did not have enough time. So this year, we are extending our activities, most of the activities, for at least 2 weeks. But one thing I wanted to point out again was I use centers time to observe how the children are using our activities. And if I see that some activities just are not exciting them, they're just not interested, even though I've tried to get them involved in it, if I just see they're not getting engaged, I'll swap it out. So I do that. That's why I'm always watching and seeing how the materials are used. So sometimes you'll see that some of our activities are changed, sometimes they're not. In this week's video, I'm going to give you a classroom tour again. So even if you watched last week's snow and ice video and you saw pretty much the same thing, this week I'm going to include snippets of me showing how our children actually used the activity. That's why I like doing this as well, is because now you get to actually see our children engaged in the activities that you saw set out in the last video. So I also wanted to point out that we put some snow in our classroom tree. Just wadded up some tissue paper and put it up there because I live in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and they're saying there's possible snow next week. And if any of you live in the Pacific Northwest, you know that it's like, unless you live up in the mountains, you know that it's really exciting because we don't get many of them. And everything shuts down when we have snow because we don't have the equipment to remove the snow from the road. Last year we even closed when it was a little bit of ice, which for people who live in the Midwest and other areas, you're just laughing at us. So I do hope it snows because it will make the snow and ice theme that much more meaningful for our children, because some of them may not have experienced it, or if they did last year, they don't remember it. So that pretend snow hopefully will be real snow outside next week. We'll find out. So let me take you on a tour of our classroom and show you how our classroom set up again with some snippets of how our children used these activities last week. On our train table, we have our Lakeshore Castle, and then we have some Frozen, the figures from the Frozen movie in there as well, because our children, some of them have watched the movie, and so we thought, well, since we're talking about snow and ice, let's add some of the Frozen inspired stuff on our train table. And one of our activities that we're doing in our Simplay table is we are hunting for snowballs in the snow. And basically what I did was I squirted some shaving cream into the wells, and then I put some plastic ping pong balls in there. And the children had to retrieve the ping pong balls out of the shaving cream using the bug tongs. So it was a really fun, fine motor and sensory activity. And our children also really enjoyed our Snow People color pages. And once again, I will put a link to these free printables in the description. But you can use these with markers and crayons. We use them with watercolors. You can use them with dot markers. They're just a lot of fun to go with your winter theme. In our dramatic play area, we have our hot cocoa shop, and our children have loved using our little hot cocoa maker that actually it's an old coffee maker somebody gave us, and I like it because it's not a glass carafe, which it's really hard to find one that doesn't have glass. This one does not. So the children have had so much fun. We have cotton balls that we're using as marshmallows, and we have little bits of laminated brown construction paper that they're using for chocolate pieces. And then when you look way over, you'll see our cardboard trees. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you remember how in December we made those into from cardboard into Christmas trees. And so when we came back, I thought, well, let's have them put some snow in those trees. And so they rolled the puffy paint on them, and now we have them displayed as winter trees. And then another activity that we're going to be doing that is winter related is they're going to be using their fine motor skills to clip the laminated mittens onto the drying rack. Now, drying rack was something that somebody gave to us. I'm not sure where they got it, unfortunately. If I find something like it, I'll drop a link in the description. The printable is mine that I created. I'll put a link in the description. They're alphabet mittens, and I have a set of uppercase and lowercase. And they can either put it in alphabetical order, or it's just simply by using their fine motor skills and clipping them on, they're just being exposed to letters. So even if they're not intentionally putting them in any sort of order or spelling out any word, which our younger ones will not be doing, they might recognize maybe the first letter in their name. And so that's good. It's just exposing them. And like I said before, it's a great fine motor activity. And then I put together this large motor activity using styrofoam balls that are supposed to mimic snowballs. And last week I mentioned that I helped put together some toddler winter lesson plans, and I'll put the link to those lesson plans in the description again this week. And one of the activities I came up with that is in that winter packet is it was counting the snowballs, throwing them into different numbered bins. So they would throw 1 ball into the 1 bin, 2 balls into the 2 bin, 3 balls into the 3 bin. So I have these styrofoam balls left over from that activity, and I thought I would have them toss the balls into this box. And then I also had some packaging, these little ramps. They came as a they protected something that we got from Amazon. I can't remember what, but they're really sturdy, and I thought they could roll the balls down the ramp as well. And then our light table, it's the same as it was last week. We have our color bottles, we have our winter discovery bottles, we have our mirror blocks and our blue see-through blocks, and our children loved picking up these clings, they're window clings. I showed you these last week. I used them on the light table, and then the children have really had fun. They were actually picking them up and then trying to see if they could put the smaller ones, if they would fit inside these little see-through tubes. So it was something fun for them, and they will get to explore it again this week. And then on our easel, I took the cardboard that was left over after I cut out our cardboard snowmen, and I'll show you those in a moment. But being the teacher that I am, and that many of you are, I could not toss away what was left over after I cut out the snowmen. So I decided to attach some contact paper, so the sticky side on one side, and I'll attach that more securely on the easel before the children start working with it. Then they have different white pieces, different textures that they can just press right on the snowman. They can make their own snowman, and then if they want, they can pull them back off again. It's a fun, fine motor and sensory activity. One of our art activities is going to be making snowballs on paper, and I'm just going to take some white paint. I might add some shaving cream to this so that it is puffy, which I talked about in a separate video. And then they're just going to take these are thread spools, empty ones, and they're just going to just make some snowballs in the sky. And again, just a fun process art activity that also works those fine motor skills. And now I'll show you how we're going to use our cardboard snowmen. I made several, but the children are most likely going to be doing this as a group. They love doing group art activities like this. So I put equal parts of white glue and shaving cream in a container, and I just kind of mixed it around. They can mix it around too. And then they're going to spread this all over the cardboard. And then they can take the different pieces, different textured white pieces, and just press them right into the puffy glue. And then I have some big eyes that they can put on there as well. Our sensory table is staying the same. I did add a little bit, I found some little foam snowmen, so I did toss those in there, but everything else is the same. They loved the flicker candles, as I knew they would. In fact, what was fun was watching them. They would line them up on the edge of the sensory table and they would count them. So, oh, wow, learning through play, I love it. And so they liked, of course, they were pretending that there was a birthday going on because of the candles, and they were scooping and pouring and filling those little silver cups up. It was a lot of fun, and I know they're gonna love it again this week. And let me show you a few of the printable activities that I have available. These are free and the links are in the description. This is a snowball counting one, and I found these really small pom-poms. These are more for our 3-year-olds. And then they count how many, 1, and they put it on just like that, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then it goes all the way up to 10. So you can choose how many, whatever skill level your child is at or your children are at. You can just put that many onto the tray with the small pom-poms or whatever you have, small manipulative piece that can fit in those circles. And this is a fun activity to do at the table during centers time, and it would also be a fun small group activity. Another counting activity that I have, these are snowmen, and then they're numbered. And you can use pom-poms, or another fun thing would be to use buttons. And so it says 1, and you put 1, and then 2, 2, and so on. And again, these go up to 10, so you can put out as many as you want depending on the level of your children. And one more printable activity that I have are these numbered pictures. And for younger children, it goes up to 10. I make 2 copies. I keep 1 intact, and then I cut up the other copy. So they have to match 1 to 1. And then I just kind of put them on there. 2, 3, and so on. So they're matching, they're looking at the number and they're matching it. And then for older children, you just you only have 1 copy. They don't have they don't have this one to help them. So it makes it a little bit more of a challenge to put them in numerical order, and then they will see a picture when they're finished. And again, this printable and the other printables that I share are free, and the link is in the description. And if you want to work on color skills, I have this Snowman color matching printable. So there is a sheet of these are the solid color snowmen, and then we have these snowmen where you look at the colors of their accessories. And then you put out the solid color, and then they place those on top, just like that. Another fun activity that I put together last week, and I shared in my last video, was we found this ice cube tray that just has small holes, and these pom-poms, the smaller pom-poms, work perfectly. This actually wasn't even my idea. This is one of my co-teacher's ideas, and she had it set up, and I thought, oh, I've got to share this because I just thought it was so clever. And our younger children use their fingers. So they use their fingers to press them in, that is a great fine motor skill, pinching it and pushing it, whoops, and there I go, pushing it right in. Older children can use tweezers to then pick up the pieces and put them in. Again, this is just simply something fun. I love using ice cube trays for different fine motor experiences, and this is one that was a big hit last week. And then our Play-Doh is going to stay the same as last week. We actually have some blue Play-Doh, and we put some peppermint in it so it smells really good. And then we pressed the small, I got these are little snowflakes that were actually they were all strung together, so we had to snip them and separate them. One of our co-teachers many years ago found them at a garage sale, and she was always resourceful like that. But the children really loved pressing the snowflakes in and then seeing when they took it out, the indentation that it made in the Play-Doh. And then of course we also have some snowflake cookie cutters and rolling pins as well. And then over in our science area, this was an activity that one of our co-teachers did. And you know, I always hear that teachers will say that they kind of feel like they're competing against the other teachers in their preschool. And my thing is, you know, go with it. And if I see one of our teachers doing something that I think looks like a lot of fun, I'll ask if I can borrow the idea. So this was actually her idea that we've had this, it's a Wilton's snowflake cookie sheet. I don't even know if they make it anymore. I will check and see. If I find it, I'll put the link in the description. And in the past, we really loved using this to press Play-Doh into, but she came up with a great idea of filling them with water. And so they froze. We put them in the freezer, they froze, and then we released them from the tray, and then the children took washable markers, washable markers, and then they colored on top of the ice-shaped snowflakes. And it was a lot of fun because they got to see what happened as the snowflakes started to melt while they were coloring them. So again, I was so glad that I saw that my co-teacher put this together, and I asked, can we try it too? And she was happy to let us borrow her idea. Thank you, Susan. And so that is what we're going to be doing again this week. So that's how we have our classroom set up for our second week of our snow and ice theme. And remember, if you are enjoying these videos and you would like to be notified when more of my videos are published, make sure to be subscribing to this channel and click on the bell icon so that you will get notified every time I publish a new video. And also make sure to check out my Instagram, that's Teaching 2 and 3-year-olds, because I am now I'm doing a different series of stories every day. Every day is something different, like Motivational Monday, and then there's a day for fine motor, and a day for dramatic play, a day for STEAM. So make sure to check me out over at Instagram, that's at Teaching 2 and 3-year-olds, because you want to check out my daily stories, because that's going to give you a really good idea of what we're doing in our classroom and giving you some ideas as well. Thanks for watching.